Lassie Farm here. This will be episode 9 of The Merchant and the Alchemist's Gate. We got a bit of a rainstorm going on. I moved into the barn where it's drier. From where we left off last time. That depends, said the aged Renaya. She asked Hassan, "How much is he paying you for it?" $1,000 dinars, said Hassan, bewildered. Really? Jeweler, would you care to buy this one too? I must reconsider my offer, said the jeweler. While Hassan and the aged Renaya bargained with the jeweler, Renaya stepped back just far enough to hear the captain berate the other thieves. "You fools," he said. "It is a common necklace. You would have us kill half the jewelers in Cairo and bring the guardsmen down on our heads." He slapped their heads and led them away. Renaya returned her attention to the jeweler, who had withdrawn his offer to buy Hassan's necklace. The older Renaya said, "Very well, I will try to return it to the man who sold it to me." As the older woman left, Renaya could tell that she smiled beneath her veil. Renaya turned to Hassan. "It appears that neither of us will sell a necklace today. Another day, perhaps," said Hassan. "I shall take mine back to my house for safekeeping," said Renaya. "Would you walk with me?" Hassan agreed and walked with Renaya to the house she had rented. Then she invited him in and offered him wine, and after they had both drunk some, she led him to her bedroom. She covered the windows with heavy curtains and extinguished all lamps so that the room was as dark as night. Only then did she remove her veil and take him to bed. Renaya had been flush with anticipation for this moment, and so she was surprised to find that Hassan's movements were clumsy and awkward. She remembered their wedding night very clearly. He had been confident, and his touch had taken her breath away. She knew Hassan's first meeting with the young Renaya was not far away, and for a moment she did not understand how this fumbling boy could change so quickly. And then, of course, the answer was clear. So every afternoon for many days, Renaya met Hassan at her rented house and instructed him in the art of love. And in doing so, she demonstrated that, as is often said, women are Allah's most wondrous creation. She told him, "The pleasure you give is returned in the pleasure you receive." And inwardly, she smiled at how she thought of how true her words really were. Before long, he gained the expertise she remembered, and she took greater enjoyment in it than she had as a young woman. All too soon, the day arrived when Renaya told the young Hassan that it was time for her to leave. He knew better than to press her for reasons, but asked her if they might ever see each other again. She told him gently, no. Then she sold the furnishings to the house's owner and returned through the gate of years to the Cairo of her own day. When the older Hassan returned from his trip to Damascus, Renaya was home waiting for him. She greeted him warmly. He kept her secrets to herself. I was lost in my own thoughts when Basrat finished this story, until he said, "I see that this story has intrigued you in a way that the others did not." "You see clearly," I admitted. "I realize now that even though the past is unchangeable, one may encounter the unexpected when visiting it." "Indeed. Do you now understand why I say the future and the past are the same? We cannot change either, but we can know both more fully." "I do understand. You have opened my eyes, and now I wish to use the gate of years. What price do you ask?" He waved his hand. I do not sell passage through the gate, he said. Allah guides whom he wishes to my shop, and I am content to be an instrument of his will. Had it been another man, I would have taken his words to be a negotiating ploy. But after all that Bassarat had told me, I knew that he was sincere. Your generosity is as boundless as your learning, I said, and bowed. If there is ever a service that a merchant of fabrics might provide for you, please call upon me. Thank you. Let us talk now about your trip. There are some matters we must speak of before you visit the Baghdad of 20 years hence. I do not wish to visit the future, I told him. I would step through in the other direction, to revisit my youth. Ah, my deepest apologies. This gate will not take you there. You see, I built this gate only a week ago. 20 years ago, there was no doorway here for you to step out of. My dismay was so great that I must have sounded like a forlorn child. I said, "But where does the other side of the gate lead?" and walked around the circular doorway to face its opposite side. Bassarat walked around the doorway to stand beside me. The view through the gate appeared identical to the view outside it, but when he extended his hand to reach through, it stopped as if it met an invisible wall. I looked more closely and noticed a brass lamp set on a table. Its flame did not flicker, but was as fixed and unmoving as if the room were trapped in clearest amber. What you see here is the room as it appeared last week, said Bassarat. In some 20 years' time, this left side of the gate will permit entry, allowing people to enter from this direction and visit their past. Or, he said, leading me back to the side of the doorway where he had first shown me, we can enter from the right side now and visit them ourselves. But I'm afraid this gate will never allow visits to the days of your youth. What about the gate of years you had in Cairo? I asked. He nodded. That gate still stands. My son now runs my shop there. So I could travel to Cairo and use the gate to visit the Cairo of 20 years ago. From there, I could travel back to Baghdad. Yes, you could make that journey if you so desire. I do, I said. Will you tell me how to find your shop in Cairo? We must speak of some things first, said Bassarat. I will not ask your intentions, being content to wait until you are ready to tell me. But I would remind you that what is made cannot be unmade. I know, I said, and that you cannot avoid the ordeals that are assigned to you. What Allah gives you, you must accept. I remind myself of that every day of my life. Then it is my honor to assist you in whatever way I can, he said. He brought out some paper and a pen, an ink pot, and began writing. I shall write for you a letter to aid you on your journey. He folded the letter, dribbled some candle wax over the edge, and pressed his ring against it. And we will leave it there, because I've got company in here. These noisy geese will take it up from here. Thank you for watching.